I think I was always the one to try to take on all the issues within a business already. So I guess that already was like a setup for me into getting into my own because wherever I was always, whenever I found a project that was unfinished, I thought had good potential, I would just ask who's responsible for this. And if nobody was or it was dropped, I would pick it up and start working on it. So in many businesses where I worked, I started getting a lot of responsibilities quickly. And one thing led to another, and then I found another role, and then found myself at Google for a few years. And so I had a lot of in the digital marketing field at least. I was I can say I was in all the different parties because I worked on the agency side, I work on the customer side, and I worked also at the Google side, so the ad network side itself. And so all of this gave me a really good perspective of like where I can add more value. What do I really bring to the table, not just in terms of my digital marketing expertise, but in terms of my business understanding. And then so you know it was all that made this business. It was already in the back of my mind, but then what ended up happening is 9 months ago, before that I was in a startup. The startup would, went through downsizing, which happens at startups. Yeah, we thought we were doing well, things changed, investors backed out, and we found ourselves a bit short on cash. And so the reason, the thing that pushed me in the water, if I can use this expression, is I was out of a job. So like in August, I found myself without a job, and instead of searching for another job, I just straight up, my first idea was like, no, this is the right time. There's always, I do believe there's always a question of timing. Like sometimes it's just not the
Mm,
right time,
mm,
and sometimes like I said, that happened, and I didn't even second guess it. I knew this is what I wanted to do
mm.
at that moment, and uh, and yeah, and it just made sense with my skill sets and the ideas that I already had in the back of my mind, that this is what I want to start this digital marketing agency.
And did you think about this before, or this was like the final push that convinced you that this is the right time, or was this just out of circumstance?
I did think about this before, actually a long time ago, probably 10 years ago. I took on some contracts on the side. So, but it never was like a full-time job. I never tried to turn it into a business. And then, yeah, like it, yeah, totally. I can say it was in the back of my mind for a long time. But I guess I never went on and created the business because I was always attracted by other ideas. We're always attracted by, like, I don't know, shiny new things, I'll call them. Like, I don't know, like right now it's all the hype is in AI. So a
Yeah.
lot of people I know are trying to start AI projects, which I think can be a good idea, but a lot of them don't have AI expertise, right? So sometimes the boring project, or the project that you think is more boring, is actually the one that would you would have the most success in. It's the one you know the most, right? So if you keep on chugging along and just be like consistent and a bit courageous, I think it takes a bit of courage to jump in and build a business. Then in my mind at least, you'll have more success in the things you know than in the things you don't know. The things you don't know, they look more attractive, but there's also a bunch of issues that you don't know about. So, like,
Mm.
I think, I worked enough to understand, like I said, where I think I can add value, and to go for that instead of going for other shiny ideas, like I said, that I don't know if I can add value that much, right, in other types of businesses. Yeah.
That's a really good point. Stick to what you know. And
Mhm.
Sheba, I want to ask you, since you've been in marketing for so long, how did you see the marketing landscape change, especially over the last couple of
Oh,
years? You mentioned AI, so do you think this is a complete revolution, or is it incremental changes?
that's a good question. Um, I so I'll explain, but I think it's more incremental than complete revolution. I think it's just a lot of people are now realizing it, but it had started happening. So first thing to set the stage, I've been working for 17 years now. When I started, we used to send fax, like a business would send us fax with a contract, and we would sign it and fax it back. Okay, so that's
Yeah.
just to put people in context of how long it's been. So I've seen a lot of things change. Now, regarding AI, what people haven't realized is like, so there's two parts in marketing, right? There's the targeting and there's the creatives. On the targeting side, AI was already there for a long time, but we used to call it machine learning. Okay, it's not AI like the new AI with LLM, but that's not what's needed there anyways, right? So so most of the targeting, and I had seen it, it was already in discussion when I was at Google at the time, is going away. Google, Facebook even called it out in a recent event they did where they said the future of marketing is just our creatives. Like they're going to handle, and I know Google is heading in the same direction. They're going to handle all the targeting. You won't be doing, at some point, you won't be doing keywords. You won't be selecting which audience you want to go for. You won't be doing none of that. You'll just put like what's the target action that you're looking to do, your website, and you'll optimize your website and your creatives and the the values of that action basically, and that's it, and they'll do the rest. So that part was already getting there to a level where human interaction are not needed, right? Now the new part is the creative side, where now it's normal to just, I don't know, we take on a new customer and we want ad ideas, or we want content ideas or things like that. Then the ideation phase is much faster, because so we still do a competitive research to look at competitors and what they've been doing, but we'll also pop up chat gpt or any of those other tools and ask it for 10 more ideas. And so we get a lot more ideas faster, and then we're able to it prevents the white page syndrome of like you're looking at a new account and you don't know what to make there. You can at least get ideas and then make them better or make them closer to what that customer actually is, right? Because they'll be mostly generic when they're brought out by the LLMs. Um, and but the thing is, okay, so that's just the beginning, right? Because they're ChatGPT and other similar tools are getting, and I'm saying ChatGPT just to because it's the most known in this case, but they're getting a lot better at creating images, and 100% they're going to get a lot better at creating videos. So it means that's in my point of view, that's not commonly agreed, I think, in the market, but at some point the creative side will just be you talking to ChatGPT and telling it, here is the ad I envision, make it 30 seconds, put this person in front, do this, do that. You can already kind of do it. It's just uh, at this moment, if you have the right persons in place, the right team, and the right contacts, it's still faster to go through humans. No kidding. Like you go through somebody that can film the content, and then somebody else that edits. If you already have that process, it's still really efficient compared to just opening ChatGPT and telling it what kind of ad you want. But will we get there? I believe so, and I believe that's probably coming in the next few years. So within the next few years, there'll just be like one person writing creatives, and then the assist, whether it's ChatGPT or Google, probably implement something similar or something like that, that's going to create it, and then you'll be able to launch those pieces of content or those new ads. And like I said, the targeting is going away. So the role of a marketer is completely changing. That's for sure. You'll still need to be creative, right? You'll still need to you have ideas of how can this business differentiate itself from its competitors, because you have to remember that if those tools are available, they're available for everybody, right? So now everybody can do these things. So
Yeah.
you still have to find ways. There will still be businesses competing against each other. So you'll still be there, And the creative part is still going to be there in the sense that you'll need to think of things to differentiate this business compared to another, right? Um, but as an agency, your differentiator at some point will not be the quality of the videos you're making, for example, because everybody's going to have access to all the tools, or the quality of the targeting or the time you spend within the targeting. So that part of the business is completely going to shift. And on the targeting side itself, because there's still going to be a need, and we already see this need grow of people that understand the tools and that are able to plug the different tools together and pass the data from one side to another, right? Because since it's different businesses, I mean, you know this from your own past, but the data is managed differently, is seen differently. You need to change the data before it gets into another system. You need to make sure those systems are talking well together. You need to understand. Sometimes there's specialized tool for a specific industry or things like that. So that knowledge of what tools to use and what is good for which context, that's call it sphere of marketing is growing. Like everybody's looking for somebody that knows AI and AI tools that can help them for their businesses, right? So, and that's going to continue to happen in marketing and people that understand data as well. And somebody that's creative, but not somebody who's less probably of video creators or even designers at some point, right? Designers, that role might still exist, but it's going to be the creative person thinking of what we're going to do and then talking to ChatGPT and telling it what to do and maybe fixing it a bit manually, right? That's where I think it's heading.
That's fascinating. And knowing all that, so talk to us a bit about what you do at Digital Growth.
Of course. So at Digital Growth Core, we started. So nine months ago, it started. It was just me, right? And I started taking on a different kind of contract. I started taking on fractional CMO contracts, which I am right now, a fractional CMO for some businesses. So when it makes sense, I'll do it. And then started taking on
Okay, can you explain to the
advertising.
audience what
Of
a
course,
fractional CMO is?
of course. So in this case, it's for startups, and both startups were at the stage where they had a product and they had a vision, but they didn't have nobody to create a roadmap and execute on. What kind of content are we going to produce? Where are we going to push it? Are we going to do advertising? Are we going to try partnerships with who? And do a bit of analyzing the landscape and things like that, and communicating internally and managing the agencies that they work with as well, because they have other partners, marketing partners. So that's where I come in, where like I said, both those businesses, they had a product already, they had a vision where they wanted to go, but they didn't know how or where to speak about it or to find their customers. And so because of the experience I have, there's things, they, I can guide them through that and establish a roadmap of, okay, we're gonna start creating content for organic. We're gonna get somebody to start creating video content and start pushing that out. We're gonna try to do some advertising on Meta, advertising on Google. We're gonna look at other opportunities in the market, like sometimes, like I said, partnerships with specific other businesses where it totally makes sense that either we're included in their product offering, or they just present us as a partner, more like almost a sponsorship deal. So that's what it is on the fractional CMO side. But then I started getting a lot of other customers for just managing their ads or managing their organic growth, for example. Like a lot of customers, at this stage, and it's been a while that's like this, you cannot just create a website and hope it's going to rank. If it's going to rank a little bit somewhere, on the like 50th page of Google, but you'll need to optimize it technically. So like a lot of, I have not seen yet one website that was perfect from a technical standpoint, that loaded quickly, that like had all the right SEO, call them SEO tags, that, so there's always a bit of technical things to solve. And then there's what content are you going to create? And that it starts with, doing a little bit of a research in the market and looking at what people are searching and what the competitors are doing and things like that. And we can establish a roadmap of what what content is the most important to create. Of course, you can create content about a lot of different things around your business, but some content is going to drive more value to your business than other content. And we can pretty much guess, not guess, but we can pretty much establish what that is, right? Yeah. And on the advertising side, well, that's creating the ads, managing the targeting, optimizing the website, and things like that.
And the clients that you have, do they usually know what they're missing, or do you have more of a
No,
consulting role where you have to guide them through it?
yeah. Uh, I would say most of the clients, it's very rare. I've had some clients that come and they're like, they know exactly what they want to do. They just don't have the capacity or the expertise. But um, usually means they already did it in the past in another business, or they tried it and it didn't work and they want to try it again, but with a new different agency. So that can happen, but I would say in most cases, every business, right, wants to grow, right? So you speak to anybody and they want to grow their business, and sometimes they don't need more help because they're in a really good spot. But most likely, or most business I speak to, they would love to get real results, like more help, but actually delivering results. Because a lot of business tried things in the past. They tried ads, or they dabbled a bit in SEO, or they did some emails and things like that, and it didn't work well, or it didn't work well enough to keep chugging at it. So they don't know. A lot of times, most of the cases, they don't know what to do next, or they don't know what they didn't do well or what didn't work well. So initially, in the first few, not even first few, for like first meeting or first two meetings, it's a lot of me asking questions and asking access and reports and things like that, just to see and understand what's been done and how we can retest it in a different way and improve it. And yeah, or if it hasn't been done at all, it's starting with setting up that roadmap. So even if I'm not, so that's like, even if I'm not hired as a fractional CMO, a lot of times it starts with setting up that roadmap
Mhm.
and explaining to the customer how I see, like what I see as the roadmap to their marketing efforts to keep to keep growing and growing even faster towards what they're going for. So yeah.
Charbel, you're obviously very knowledgeable and passionate about what you do, but starting a business by yourself has its own challenges. So 9 months in, what has been the most difficult part of having your own business? Or is it
I
all
mean,
rainbows and sunshines?
no, absolutely not. There's so many. So I'll start by saying you need to be very motivated, because there's so many issues that you don't know are issues, or you don't foresee, right? The most annoying and usually harder to deal with issues are the ones you never saw coming. I don't know, like, to me it's like dealing with things regarding accounting, or hiring new people, or sometimes you imagine things are going to be easier than they are, or you won't need to be as involved in that thing, or things like that. And then um yeah, because the issues you can already imagine, they won't bother you that much when they happen, right? Because I know already, I was in agencies, so I used to dealing with customers, like external customers, and then bringing that back to the team and kind of a bit project managing the with the customer and dealing with all that I had done, but dealing with my own business and what that involves, that I hadn't done. So yeah, finding I don't know, finding a good accountant that you trust and that answers you, or uh, yeah, things aren't always. And the other thing is the trying to think how to talk about the emotions. Like I don't know how to explain this. Like you go through phases of, oh, like this is never gonna work and I can't do this, to phases
Yeah.
of, oh my God, like this is, I let it, this is working. And
Yeah.
but you go back, it's like it's constant. So you really need to have a vision of where you want this, or at least as you go along, it can move. I'm not saying, you cannot slightly move your vision or move how the business is going, but you need to know why you're doing this, because yeah, it's only been 9 months. I know a lot of entrepreneurs that's have been doing it for years, but um, through 9 months, there's already been tons of those high and lows, and yeah, there's other issues that come with having like a small business. I only have a few employees working with me now, and so but even before that, or even if you're just at a few employee, like you're still critical to probably every aspect of the business at this point. And so if I get sick, which happens because I have kids in daycare and they get sick and then I get sick, then like I was like one time I was out for a week, and things like, and that's an issue I need to solve internally, of course, but things weren't progressing because I'm still too critical to what's happening, right? So I mean, I hope at some point I'll be less critical to all the projects, but that's the case right now. So uh,
I mean, like you said,
yeah,
it's just 9 months in,
yeah,
so this makes sense. And again, what I'm hearing from you is that you have to have a really strong mindset because the
mm,
ups and downs and the emotional roller coaster is nonstop. Charbel, you've worked at big tech, you worked in
yeah.
startups, and now you have your own company. So you basically tried everything. What would you say is which one has been the most demanding?
The most demanding, my business, this, but but uh, it's the most fun to me. So like so I used to work a lot, even when I was like at Google, right? So and startups as well. When I was in a startup, like the startup world is that there's always too much work, right? Um, but it startup was already closer to the feeling I have right now. But right now, like even if I work in the evenings, I really don't mind. I'm happy about it. I'm like, oh, like I'm writing another proposal to send to another customer. Like this may be another customer for the business. Or I don't know, I'm discussing, like I'm chatting in the evenings with one of the employees about a project. Well, it's still like one of like my customers. It's like it kind of becomes your other baby in a sense. Not even as a dad, I can't even use that word. Like it's different. But it it,
Yeah.
it becomes hopefully a fun project, right? So even through, I spoke about ups and downs and like wanting to quit already happened a bunch of times. That's for sure. But even through all that, I don't. It's not even I don't mind. That's not even the right word. Like I'm happy working in the evenings. Hell, compared to before when it wasn't my business and I was just like and like I said, it's not like you know I never hated working in startups or at Google. It's not to that end, but it wasn't the same feeling. Before I used to do it because we had to do it to progress, the project or whatever we were working on. Now I'm doing it because I want to do it. Like I want this to
Mhm.
work. So it's a completely different mindset for sure.
Yeah, I mean it's yours. I'm not gonna say it's your baby, it's your corporate baby.
Yes,
Here's I'm
exactly.
gonna frame it like that.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
do you get lonely sometimes? I mean, you're on your own
Yes,
and you have to be strong all the time in front of your employees, for your family. Does it get lonely?
it's a very lonely job because your employees are, I mean, you can be friendly with them, but they're not your friends. So, because you need, I don't know, you need a certain level of structure. I'll call it structure within the business, and that makes it so that like there, yeah, it's different. You can't. I mean, you spoke about not passing. Well, I speak about it as not passing on stress, but so there's always issues. You don't want to pass these issues to people that don't need to be thinking about this because it'll just slow them down in their own work. So there's a lot of issues that you keep and you try to deal with, and there's a lot of things you can't say to people and people around you. I don't know, unless you know a lot of entrepreneurs, then there's not a lot of people that understand these issues at all. Like you could tell them about it, but they won't be able to help you. Now, I've been lucky because I know a group like in Quebec, in Montreal, of entrepreneurs that you can sign up to and join. And so on a monthly basis now, since I'm in it, I like we spend 2 hours on a video call, basically, me and other entrepreneurs, and we talk about our issues. So it's like a group therapy session.
Yeah.
But it really helps because then you see people that understand your issues, and some of them that either solve them for them or have ideas of how to solve them for you. So it, yeah, it helps to get uh, that sharing of experiences for sure. It's hard to find, but after me being in that group, I can totally say that hey, it's worth it, and it helps. It helps not just for business issues, but it helps feeling like you're not alone or less alone. Yeah.
Mm. Charbel, you've been recently invited to speak at McGill. You're doing online seminars as well. So for people starting out right now in marketing, just graduated, what would you tell them?
Wow. Um, so I would tell them work to learn. That's the first thing. Because most of my knowledge I got it at businesses where I well, by basically working. So like you'll teach, I know schools teach a lot more now than when I was at school about digital marketing, but still you'll get a lot more expertise when you're hands-on, working at businesses. And the other thing that I would say is, and I heard this, but I started applying it too, I would say too late in my career. I wish I would have done it earlier. It's your your network is your net worth. And that's totally true. Not just for when you want to start a business, because that's of course a direct correlation, but for when you're looking for another job, for within your role at a specific business, having a big network might help you refer people to that business or find new partnerships or things like that. It helps so much in business. Like that's your number one resource is the people you know. So that's the thing I would say, and that's actually when I presented at McGill and they asked me a similar question. That's what I said at the end. It's like those two things: work to learn and work on your network from day one. Especially when you have more time, attend events, meet people, add them to your LinkedIn. It, it's it's easier in the future to reactivate your network if you've always been working on it. So it won't look, if you often, uh, I'm not saying message everybody, but some people in your network you'll want to keep closer. And if you often message them just to talk to them, go have lunches with people that you worked with at other jobs, things like that, then when you need something, it won't look like you're just like a salesperson. You know what I mean? You'll have kept in touch with your network, and uh, so yeah, it's gonna help you. So for sure. So learn and keep on networking.
Sarah, thank you so much for your time. That was super interesting, and it was really great having you here.
Thank you, Antoine. I appreciate it.